Hi there, in this screencast I'm going to solve a lot of the equations that involve logs or taking logs, and I'm going to do a few problems and then I'm going to give you a problem to do, and you're going to pause the video and then try to solve the problem, and then on the sheet of paper that I provided, so you'll have to copy out the equation and then work out the solution underneath it. Okay, the first kind of log equation is probably the easiest kind, and that's when you have one log equal to another log. And that's all you have. So in this case, all you need to do is equate the arguments of the logs. So in this case, for this problem right here, I'm going to do 2n plus 4 equals 3n minus 9, and then I'm just going to solve that equation for the variable. So if I add 9 to both sides, and then, so that's going to give me 2n plus 13 equals 3n, and then I subtract 2n from both sides. I'm going to get n equals 13. So n equals 13 is my solution. So that's one of the easier kinds. And now here's another one, except this one you're going to get a quadratic equation once you equate the arguments of the logs. So I'm going to say k squared plus 4k equals 24 minus k. So I'm going to try to solve that by factoring. So to factor, you need to move everything to the right side or the left side of the equation so that you have a 0 on the right. So I'm going to get k squared plus 5k minus 24 equals 0. And now I need two numbers that multiply to be negative 24 and add up to 5. So I believe that is plus 8 and minus 3. So k plus 8 and k minus 3 is equal to 0. So to solve those, then you solve those two little equations, k plus 8 equals 0 or k minus 3 equals 0. So this means k equals negative 8 or k equals 3. So both those problems are, or both those are solutions to the original equation. Okay, so why don't you try this problem right here? So pause the video. This is in the number 1 block on your sheet. Copy this problem and then see if you can solve it. And after you're done solving, attempting it, come back, start the video over again. All right, did you have any luck? Well, what you would have done is equate those two equations. Ooh, did I put the same one twice? I think I did. Yep. I'll have to edit this out. You know what? Make that problem be the first problem anyways. So copy the solution, copy that problem into the number 1 block, and make sure that you kind of identify the solutions to the equation. Okay, so the next kind of problem is where you have to condense first. You're still going to end up with log equals log, but you need to condense into a single log on the left side of the equal sign. So when I have subtraction here for two logs, that becomes division when I condense. So once I condense, I'm going to get log base 7 x squared minus 4 over 2 equals log base 7 of 70. Now I'm going to equate the arguments, and now I have to solve that equation. So I'm going to, let's see, multiply by 2. That's going to give me x squared minus 4 equals 72. I'm going to, now this is, no, yeah, no, I'm sorry, 140, not 100, not 72. I'm not adding, I'm multiplying. Okay, so this is a quadratic equation that has no linear term, meaning no x term. It just has x squared and a constant. So this one I'm going to solve by taking square roots, which means you get the squared term all by itself on one side of the equation, a constant on the other, then you take the plus minus square root of both sides. So I get x equals plus or minus 12, and that would be my solution. All right, why don't you pause the video, make this problem or equation be your number 2 equation, and see if you can solve it. And then once you've finished, restart the video. All right, did you have any luck? Well, the first step, let's see what we get here. So we would have x squared minus 6 over 2 equals 4. I multiply by 2 over 1, and I get x squared minus 6 equals 8. Then I'm going to add 6 to both sides. I get x squared equals 14. Then take the square root plus minus square root of both sides to solve. So I get x equals plus or minus square root of 14. All right, hope you got that. Okay, the next kind of problem is where you have a log equal to a constant. So this kind you solve completely differently, and you solve it by rewriting the equation in exponential form. So you get the log all by itself on one side of the equation, all constants on the other side. Then you rewrite the equation in exponential form. Oops, didn't mean to do that. Okay, so looking at this one, first I need to get the log all by itself on the left side of the equation. And now I rewrite the equation in exponential form, which means 4 to the third power is equal to p minus 1. So literally that becomes the equation I solve. 4 to the third power equals p minus 1. Well, 4 to the third power is 64, so I get 64 equals p minus 1. Now I'm going to add 1 to both sides, and I get p equals 65. So it's really that simple. The key step, once again, well, first of all, you'll recognize these equations because you'll have a single log and then you'll have some constants. And what you want to do, move the constant over to the right side, get the log by itself, then rewrite the equation in exponential form and solve. All right, so here's another one of these problems, and let's do it. So, oops, no, this isn't the problem I want. It looks like I was getting my problems a little messed up when yeah, there it is. Okay, so why don't you try this problem? This would be problem number 3. Copy this into your worksheet and try solving it. Pause the video, solve it, make an attempt, see what you get, and after you're done, restart the video and we'll see if you were able to do it. Okay, so let's look. So the only difference here with this one is that you need to condense first. So if I condense first, I'm going to get natural log x over x minus 3 equals 5. Okay, so now I want to rewrite this in exponential form. How do I do that? Well, natural log is a log with a base of e. So that means my equation is going to become e to the 5th equals x over x minus 3. So now, what can I do? Well, I'm going to to solve that equation, I'm going to multiply both sides by x minus 3 over 1. Okay, and that's going to give me, and now I'm going to distribute over here. So I'm going to get e to the fifth x minus 3e to the fifth equals x. Okay, so now I'm going to, let's see, I'm going to add 3e to the fifth to both sides. Oops, and I'm going to, and I'm going to subtract x from both sides. So now I'm going to get e to the fifth x minus x equals 3e to the fifth. Okay, now I'm just going to factor out the x. And I'm going to get x e to the fifth minus 1 equals 3e to the fifth. And then lastly, I'm going to divide by e to the fifth minus 1. So this is a pretty challenging problem. All right, and then my solution is going to be x equals 3e to the fifth over e to the fifth minus 1. Okay, not sure if well, that one was pretty challenging with natural logs and condensing. Okay, the last kind of problem is the one where you don't have any logs at all, but you solve by taking logs. So what you'll recognize this problem, there's no log in it. There's a variable, it's in the exponent of a constant. And what you're going to try to do is you're going to try to isolate the term with the exponent, and then you're going to take the log of both sides with a base equal to the base of the term that has the exponent. Because that's going to cause the 7n minus 6 to come out of the exponent, and you'll be able to then solve the equation. So the first thing for this one would be I would subtract 3 from both sides. So that's going to give me 15 7n minus 6 equals 78. Now I'm going to do log base 15 of both sides. Okay, so that's going to drop out. I'm going to get 7 minus 6 equals log, oops, let's try it again. Log base 15 of 78. So I want to add 6. So I'm going to get 7n equals 6 plus log base 15 78. And you can't combine those at all. Last step would be to divide by 7, and that gives me my solution. 6 plus log base 15 of 78 all over 7. All right, so why don't you try this problem as put it in, what are we on, the fourth one now? Can't remember if the last one was the third one or the fourth one. At any rate, write this equation in your next box on your answer sheet and try to solve it. After you make a solid attempt, we'll stop the video, try to solve this problem on your sheet of paper, and then after you make an attempt, restart the video, and we'll see if you had any luck. Okay, so in this one, I want to get the term with the exponent all by itself. That's the very first step. So I'm going to divide by negative 6. That's going to give me 14x minus 1 equals negative 2 over 6 is 1/3. Now I'm going to take the log base 14 of both sides of the equation. So I'm going to do log base 14, log base 14. And remember, these two numbers always have to match. So when you're deciding what the base is, you look at this number here and you make that the base. Because by the properties of logarithms, when you do that, you're essentially doing the reverse of taking the log on that side of the equation, and you know the variable comes out of the exponent, so you can solve for it. 1/3. Okay, and then the last step would be to add 1 to both sides. That's going to give you x equals log base 14, 1/3 plus 1. Okay, so that's another one. Those are all three kinds of equations that you need to be able to solve. So in the next blanks on your paper, I'm going to give you three different equations to solve. And I'll also give you the solution so you can check yourself. So let's see. Let me bring up what I had been working on. Let me regenerate all questions. Okay, so the first one I want you to try solving is going to be let's see, one up. This equation right here. So I think we're in block 5 on your sheet. Try this equation. The solution is going to be 2 and 0. So see if you can get that. Then the next one I want you to try is, let's see, that one. Okay, and remember, addition when you condense becomes multiplication. All right, so see if you can get that one. So this is one where you're going to have to rewrite an exponential form after you condense to get the equation to solve. All right, and then the last one I want you to attempt is, let's see, try this one. Okay, and the solution is there. So basically you're going to need to add 9 and then divide by 5 first. Then you're going to do log of 3 of both sides of the equation, and then that's going to give you negative 2n minus 6 equals log of base 3, I think, of 4. Then you add 6 and divide by 2. Okay, so I think those would be in blocks 5, 6, and 7. So work those problems out, copy them on, and then call Mr. Me around if you need assistance.